This has to be the biggest 33 of them all. Well, I bet you thought that we were finished with the 33s, but we're not. Today we're going to go see old Masonic headquarters, old mansion houses of the rich and powerful, old safe houses for spies, and old government buildings with spooky links to underground tunnels. But we're going to start off with an old department store which now sells cruise missiles. Wigmore Street, W1. This one is an absolute beast. I've actually wanted to come here for a while. It's so enormous, I'm actually concerned it's not all going to get into one shot. When it comes to the state infrastructure and military infrastructure, 33 is a very proud and important number. Let's see if we can, we can kind of see something through here. Oh God. Oh, just a very grand staircase. Lots of columns and things. It's home to what you can see on that battered flag up there. The battered banner of Babcock. It really is battered as well. Quite some tower they have on the top though. It has to be said. And look at those columns. Here we go, I've gone into ultra wide so we can get a true experience of how fat this thing is. So this thing was actually the very first epically enormous Debenhams department store, believe it or not, although back when it was built in 1908 it was called Debenham and Freebody Department Store by architect William Wallace and James Gibson. I'm not sure if 33 was significant to Debenhams in any way. However, it is extremely significant to the current inhabitants. Babcock, which is an enormous global weapons manufacturer. In fact, Babcock supplied the UK with weapons for both world wars and still do today, and various other countries as well. Babcock is one of those secretly special companies where MPs work tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure it succeeds.
I also want to commend all of those in government who've worked so hard to ensure that Babcock flourishes.
The kind of thing the MPs won't do for you or I, but just for enormous monopoly weapons manufacturers. It is the natural way for government. So here we are, in Golden Square. Not that golden anymore, as you might be able to tell. We're quite lucky really, because they used to have some really horrendous modern art here, but luckily it's all gone. And it's back to its more classical style, I would say. I actually don't know what this statue is here. Oh, it's King George II. Oh my God, that face. Look at that horrendous face. What the hell? And like someone's stolen his thumb, which is bad. I guess that sort of thing can happen around here. And his sword has a what I can only imagine is an eagle. Looks a bit like a frog. He's still got the thumb on that hand though. Lucky boy. This is one of those squares that nobody really knows is here. Always a little bit quieter than everywhere else. Nowadays this place filled with like, I'm going to say like hipster media companies. Because, you know, Soho, it's very bourgeois. And number 33 here is currently Bauer Media Outdoor. Wow, and look, the ritualistic architecture next door has some kind of really special feature. Can you see it? He's like totally fast asleep. Having the best sleep of his life. Presumably he's like channeling spiritual energy. So that's good to know. Good to see that it works. So the building that's here now is from 1989, so nothing particularly special. But for the whole of the Victorian era, this was two separate buildings. If you look at the old map, you can see essentially an old throat hospital, and then next door, a skinny little building, just right where that door is still today, number 33 Golden Square, which was the Supreme Council of the ancient and accepted right for England, Wales and British colonies, which is was known as the Rose Cross, essentially the Supreme Council of 33rd degree. The square actually had a different appearance back then, and we can see it on this plaque over here. Actually, this plaque is pretty special as well. Look at that. Like the two obelisks and the pyramid in the middle. Well done, Westminster City Council. You've really got the right flavour here. Because they don't actually mention any of the history of the Masons here. So Golden Square used to be a square, no kidding, with an octagon and then a circle in the middle. The circle to the octagon to the square. Squaring the circle in the middle. And they don't have the circle here anymore, but they do still have the 45-degree angles. They still have the octagon here. So even if the signs here won't tell us about the Masonic history of the place, at least the shapes are still doing it for us. Just making sure this little guy is okay. You alright, mate? He looks very sad. He's been ostracised from his community for his religious beliefs. There's some kind of esoteric symbol there as well. What's that? Oh, it's a weird one. Very weird. The symbol for the ancient accepted rite, by the way, for the 33rd degree, was the black double-headed eagle. The Embassy of Albania, number 33. Should be some kind of notice on the door in Albanian. That's fair enough, I suppose. The study of Freemasonry in Albania is a real rabbit hole. They were really into it. I got a feeling that Freemasonry was actually used to try and, let's say, guide their political direction, and it sort of worked, I think, until the communists took over. Embassies, of course, are spy centres, like little spy hotels, riddled with them most of the time, and they weren't the only ones whose spies resided at 33. Cool, nice chimney, mate. Still pretty spooky to this day. Number 33, South Audley Street. I did actually visit this place for a few seconds at least in a video years and years ago. So yeah, this building used to be an MI5 safe house, somewhere where they used to do secret interrogations. And I have to say, so that is actually the weirdest keystone I've ever seen. Like, what even is that? It's very odd. I think that might be a bullet hole, just joking. So they would essentially use this if they wanted to do secret interrogations away from official MI5 premises. And it was riddled with high-tech surveillance equipment, so the people who were being interrogated maybe didn't even know that it was an interrogation. And for many years it was just sat there pretending to be an ordinary townhouse which, to be fair, it could still be doing today, couldn't it? Some of this stonework is crazy. Look at that. That's a weird one, isn't it? Marshall Street, W1. So this is a weird one. Number 33, Marshall Street. There's something called Johnny's Chop Shop, a barber. And of course it's not unusual for a barber shop to have a checkered floor. In fact, it's quite usual, to be fair. I'm not really quite sure why, actually. Is it because of all the hair on the ground? It makes it look tidier? Probably. What is unusual, though, is their weird symbol in that this is a chain. You can see it says London and New York. But this is the only one that seems to have this weird symbol, which is a lot like Skull and Bones Secret Society, isn't it? Just with a little bit more flair. And they call themselves Occult Barber, which is a very strange way to name your establishment. And one of the barbers goes by the name Lucifer. And this building opposite, which I'm assuming is some kind of old government building, because it has the portcullis of the City of Westminster on it, is a very strange building. It's got a sort of cryptic meander. The outside is covered in these squares, the sort of ziggurat squares. And the doorway as well, look, it's like a celebration of the square. And then, well, it says Marshall Street Leisure Centre, so I guess it's a leisure centre now, but I couldn't help but notice the pattern they have on their floor. I have to look into this building further, find out what the hell it was. Upper Brook Street, W1. No actual house number written on this one, no number 33. So you'll have to trust me. Next door is 32. And that one over there is 34. And this thing is occultic on the inside and on the outside. Look at the pine cones there. I found an interesting document about this building which says that the front room on the first floor is a perfect cube, and the back of the building is just a single large octagon room with a decorative ceiling based on the soffit of the Temple of the Sun at Palmyra, which goes to show that hidden away in some of the buildings owned by the ultra wealthy are some really, really weird things. Apparently to this day that building is described as deficient in bedrooms, which of course is what's going to happen if you fill your house with occultic chambers. So this is Park Lane, and I don't think I've ever been here on the central reservation of Park Lane, but it does seem quite nice. Look, it's got wildlife and everything. I hope I don't scare them into the road. It would be such a shame. Look, palm trees. Wow, this is really the place to be. There is unfortunately a helicopter hovering in the sky over there. For whatever reason. Just because London, right? Why not have a constant helicopter presence? So we're in this lavish, exotic garden. Good day to you, madam. To have a look at the Grosvenor House Hotel. Well, not really the Grosvenor House Hotel, but rather what used to be here before it was built. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Grosvenor family. They're quite well known. They came over to England with William the Conqueror back in 1066. They were like the business arm of the military invasion. Kind of needless to say that they did particularly well. In actual fact, they were the ones who built Mayfair in the countryside. And it's said that when they built here, they actually saved the finest part of the countryside with the best views for themselves, where they would build their own family residence, a grand mansion called Grosvenor House. Now, bearing in mind that they had the power and the wealth to build wherever they wanted, and really they could have chosen any address that they possibly wanted, but Grosvenor House was number 33, which I think is quite significant. You get a clue if you look at their current family mansion, Eaton Hall, which has not only a 2-kilometre driveway, but also an enormous obelisk, which is like a similar size to the one in Washington, DC. They even have their own like clock tower, a bit like a Big Ben, which is the sort of thing you can do when you're multi-billionaires. The original house actually had this sort of a long columned screen to the front garden, which is emulated here. And there's the great room and the ballroom entrance. Mildly posh. So yes, I hope you've enjoyed our little tour around the lost 33s. I think that might be all of them, although you can never be sure.